Then will you ask in between your presentation, or we'll write it on the chat box later? You can ask. You
Uh,
can. What would you
okay,
think?
just okay, just I'll be able to finish my presentation like 30 minutes to 35 minutes. So it will be better for me to ask the questions later. And in the meantime, just you can write it down so that after the session, just like 30 minutes, another 30 minutes, I will provide you to, I mean, for the questions and answer session.
Okay,
Okay.
that's great. Okay, okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
Okay. I think we can start. Okay.
Yes,
Is the slide
inshallah.
visible clearly? Just
Yes,
let me know.
visible, but it's not showing. I mean, you need to show this.
Is it okay now? Is it okay?
Uh, is it okay, guys? It's still it's not presenting. Okay, okay, okay. You can carry on. Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, fine. I think we can we can just carry on. Okay. Uh, again, assalamu alaikum and good morning and good afternoon and good evening based on the respective areas. Um, so today, basically, I'm going to share some of my viewpoints regarding research concept, theory, and framework. Basically, three important issues today I'm going to discuss. One is research concept, another one is theory, another one is framework. For a social science researcher, these three things are really, really important. If you are a PhD student or if you are a master's student by research, I'm sure that concept, theory, and framework. That's why I have decided to conduct a session based on this topic. So today, basically, I'm going to cover these are the things. Definitely, we need to maintain a chronology. Please, again, I'm repeating, we need to maintain a chronology. Okay, this is a must. First, we need to identify our research concept. Second, theory. Third, constructs or research variables. Then operational definition, conceptual framework, hypothesis, analysis, then discussions of the findings and conclusions. So basically, these slides has been designed for quantitative researcher. But you know that when I will just take a session on qualitative, definitely I will discuss something about the qualitative issues as well. So first, all of the things I'll discuss slide by slide, but just I'm going to say something about the very basic things about this slide. As earlier I mentioned that we need to maintain the chronology. First, we identify the research concept. So when your concept is clear, then as a social science researcher, your second task will be try to relate your concept with our existing theory. Remember it, existing theory. So as a social science researcher, if you can relate your research concept with a theory, then you are a, I mean, one you can say you are a deductive researcher or quantitative researcher. Why I'm saying that? Because every theory in the world has some assumption. Now your fundamental task will be to test whether the theoretical assumptions are true or false, considering your own culture. That's the fundamental thing about the theory. Then you need to develop your variables
Yay,
from the
dah jaga
particular
kamu
theory.
kita naik.
Yeah. Hello. Hello. Okay, fine. So I think it's a mistake. So now constructs and variables must come from the two sources, either theory or literature review. But as a social science researcher, must first priority is your constructs or variables come from theory. Then operational definition means you need to give the clear idea to the readers, the operationalization of your variables. So how you can do that, I will show you in the slides. So based on the variables, we need to develop a framework, which is called conceptual framework. Some of you can say research framework, though there is a slight difference between the conceptual framework and research framework, but that is not the discussion of today's topic. Then after the framework, definitely we need to formulate a hypothesis. So during the formulation of hypothesis, we need to keep some of the, we need to follow some of the guidelines. So I will show also the guidelines, how we can develop a good hypothesis. So after the hypothesis, definitely we should collect the data and analyze the data. And after collecting that, I mean, collecting and analyzing the data, we need to write the discussion of the findings and conclusion. So these are the things basically I'm going to discuss today. So our next slide. is formulation of research concept. Okay, how can we formulate or develop a good research concept? This is really an important issue for social science researcher, even for the business researcher. So before that, we need to know actually what does mean research concept. So simple answer is that research concept is like an broader idea or simple idea or an initial plan. But without getting the broader idea or initial plan, we cannot start our research journey. So before formulating the research concept, we should follow these 5 steps. Number one, identifying the uh, area of interest. This is really important, that we need to identify the area of interest. I'm sure that everyone's interests are not similar. Some of us interest is like mine. My research areas are like HRM or education, then entrepreneurship. These are my research area. I'm sure that everybody we have some, some research interest. So first we need to identify what is our interest area. Then, focusing on your interest area, before selecting a research concept, we should read the literature review carefully. Okay. Otherwise, very difficult to find out the research concept. Believe me, very difficult. So without really reading the literature review carefully, we cannot develop, or we should not develop our research concept. So that will be our third session. So how we can read the literature review, what are the classification of literature review. So that's the session actually for the third session. So I will share my detailed opinions regarding that issue. So after reviewing the literature, try to find out the specific problem from the literature review. Actually, what the things are you trying to mitigate or solve anything. So problem must be clear. Okay. Then decide a scope. Scope means based on your research project, you need to keep in your mind regarding the time period, location, population, sampling techniques, all of the things you need to keep in your mind before selecting the research concept. Okay. Then considering all of the issues, you need to finally decide whether you are going to do inductive, deductive, or abductive approaches or research. So these things basically will come from your problem statement or problems. You know that if your problems are not clear, you should not select any of the approaches, whether it is deductive, whether it is inductive, whether it is abductive. Okay, inductive means here basically qualitative, deductive means quantitative, abductive means mixed method. But unfortunately, what we are doing that we predeterminedly selected that we are going to do inductive, we are going to do deductive, we are going to do abductive. We should not do that. So just for 2 days, as the session is for our very beginners, then we have selected a research concept. Basically, this is the example of for today's session, that investigating the employee job satisfaction drivers in the private sectors in developing nations. So basically, our target is to find out the drivers of the job satisfaction. That is our fundamental objective. So based on these examples, the rest of the session actually, rest of the slides I'm going to cover. If we go to the next slide, definitely we need to understand about the theory. Okay, so before going to discuss something about the theory, we should know something about what is actually the theory. In the previous slide, we discussed something about the concept. So what's the basic difference between the concept and theory? Remember it, concept is like a basic idea or like a plan, but theory is not like a basic idea. Theory is an well-established concept, well-established idea that has an, well accepted explanation. Remember it, two things: well-established concept, okay, then that has a, substantiate explanation by focusing on the words, not only like Bangladesh, not only like the developing nation. That means where this concept is well established, focusing on the global perspective. Okay, and before formulating a theory that has been tested a lot of time. That's why we are saying that it is an well established concept. Okay, so don't be confused about the concept and theory. Concept means the general idea, theory means well established idea. Okay, now as a business researcher or social researcher, when we talked about the theory has some assumptions. Number one, the theory provides the clear explanation of understanding the phenomenon. That means what actually you are doing, the theory will guide you. Otherwise, no, very difficult to be a quantitative researcher. Then explain the relationship between variables. That theory will guide you or to show you the path the relationship between or among the variables. Then offering the guidance, formulating research question. Remember it, theory will help you to formulate the research questions, hypothesis, and interpreting the findings. So from this perspective, we have already understood that how important the theory is. So please, when you have been able to select a particular theory, we should not read the theory. From the renowned researcher, they said, please do not read the theory. Please digest the theory. Okay. So there is a big difference between the digest and reading the theory. Theory is everything for the social science researcher. So we need to select an appropriate theory, because for a concept there may be 8, 9, 10 theories, available theories, but we need to select an appropriate theory which is more appropriate, focusing on your concept. That's why theory selection is really, really important. So considering today's example, basically I have selected one theory. I'm sure that this theory is very known for us, everyone, everybody, we know it for social science business. That's why I have selected this theory, like Husband's two-factor theory. Okay, we know everybody that there are two assumptions of Husband's two-factor theory. One is satisfactory factors, another one is dissatisfactory, or we can say hygiene factors. Okay, so considering these things, we are going to show in the next slide that how you can select your concept and select your variables. Remember it again, I'm telling that before selecting your variables, you should digest your theory carefully. Then one of the important, slides, we need to understand very clearly. So in the last slide, in the last first session, basically we discussed something about, based on the research questions, research can be classified into two categories. One was exploratory, another one is a conclusive. But today I'm talking about that based on a theory, based on a theory, research can be classified into three categories. One is inductive, another one is deductive, and last one is abductive research. So if we critically analyze this slide, what actually we are finding here? One thing is theory, another one is real world. So first thing, inductive research. Look at the arrow. The arrow goes up. That means you got a concept from the real world. Again, I'm repeating, you got the concept from the real world. Now your intention is to develop a concept or to develop a theory. Again, I'm repeating, you got the concept from the real world. Now your intention is to establish the concept or to establish a good theory. That is the fundamental objective of inductive research. So if your intention is like that, you are an inductive researcher, means you are a qualitative researcher. Now look at the second one. The theory is available. Now your intention is that you wanted to test whether the theoretical assumptions are true or false, considering your own culture. That means you wanted to apply the theoretical assumptions in the real world. That's why the arrow goes down. So if you wanted to do like that, you are a deductive researcher, or you can say you are a quantitative researcher. But abductive, you can do both. Okay, then though abductive research, there are two things. One thing, you can do first inductive then deductive, or either you can do first deductive or inductive. Both are acceptable, but to me, I usually support that you should do first inductive, then you should go for deductive approach. That is called abductive approach. That's why the arrow is both sides. I mean, this abductive research is the combination of inductive plus deductive, or we can say qualitative plus quantitative, which is mixed methodology. I hope that, you can easily understand this slide. Okay. Now, if you go to here, research variables. I'm sure that everybody knows about the research variables. Means there are anything, that can be anything, that can be any characteristics or attributes, but the main thing is that should be vary. Okay, that should be vary person to person, or we can say individual to individual, situation to situation, culture to culture. It must be varied, otherwise it cannot be a variable. So more or less we know that there are lots of variables, but these are the common 5 types of variables we can apply in our research, whether it is PhD thesis, master's thesis, or academic research. Like independent variable, dependent variable. So I'm not going to discuss in details here. Then control variable. So we need to know, that recently I'm receiving some of the papers that you should use the control variable. We need to know when the control variable should be added in our framework. Without, I mean, that without knowing this thing, if you use the control variable, it's like a valueless. Okay. Even the reviewer is suggesting you to add the control variable. If you have the good justification that, yes, due to this reason, I'm not using the control variable, that's more, appreciated. Because if your independent and dependent variable well predicted, that means a good size of effect, huge number of effect size, then why we should go for the control variable? There is no need to go for the control variable. But control variable basically is the nominal data like age or gender. And moderating variable, it's a very simple thing that can change the relationship between IV and DB. Okay. And another one is that mediating variable, that's one kind of process or mechanism, how the independent and dependent variable is changing. Okay. But one thing, the most important thing we need to keep in our mind, that variables should, again I'm repeating, variables should come from theory or literature review. Okay. When we are like bachelor students, or initial researcher, we predeterminedly selected the variables without having good understanding the theory or literature review. Still, some of the researchers, some of the students are doing this thing. But before selecting a good variable, remember it, you should have the good control over the two sources. Number one, theory. Number two, literature review. Otherwise, please do not select the variables. Then operational definition. Operation definition is a very simple thing. The another name of operational definition is like, operationalization of the variables or conceptualization of the variables. It should be added in the literature review part. But when I will just discuss in details about the literature review, I will clearly explain how you can conceptualize your variables or operationalize of your variables. But two things we need to keep in your mind, that when you will operationalize your variables, you should share the two things. Number one, expert opinion. Number two, your own opinion or your opinion. Most of the times, actually, we are only sharing the expert opinion. We are just, ignoring our own opinion. But please, when you will operationalize or give the clear definition of your variables like that, here independent variable is autonomy, dependent variable is job satisfaction. So you should clearly define actually what does mean autonomy, considering the expert opinion and your own opinion. Otherwise it will not be accepted. Okay, readers will not get the clear idea actually what does mean autonomy clearly, because if you just put the expert opinion, that might not enough, to understand clearly what does mean autonomy to the readers. And if you fail to understand the operational definition to the readers, it's valueless. Even if you have a very good writings, if you have a very good frameworks, I'm sure that you will get some revisions regarding. They will ask you, that means reviewer will ask you, we are not clear about the conceptualization of your variables. Okay, so when you will operationalize of your variables, two things we need to keep in your mind. One is expert opinion, another one is our own understanding. So just make it together and synthesize it. Then it's all about operationalization of the variables. So now in the next slide, I will show you how are the variables connected with the theory. Because in the last slide, I said a lot of times that your variables must come from theory or literature review. So we should know how. Okay, what will be the procedure? That the things actually I'm going to share. And I have already selected one theory, that Husband two factors theory. There were two assumptions. One is motivators, another one is hygiene factors or dissatisfaction factors. So what are the hygiene factors? Simple thing is like achievement, recognition, meaningful work, responsibility, growth, promotion. Those things will give you the motivation or satisfaction. That means these are the things will increase the satisfaction level of the employees. But hygiene factors are very basic factors. Those are the rights of the employees. Those usually will not create the satisfaction. But if the organization provides to fail it, it will decrease the satisfaction. That's why it is written dissatisfaction. Now look at the model. Look at the framework. We have taken four independent variables like salary, autonomy, promotion, policies. Now the dependent variable is job satisfaction. Now, do you think that all of your 4 independent variables are accurate? My answer is not. Okay, I'm sure that some of your answer will be okay, yes, those are right. But as earlier I said, that variables must come from theory. Okay, so theory is saying that motivator factors like autonomy, achievement, recognition, but not salary and policies. But yes, if you read the papers, I'm sure that most of the writers, most of the authors will say that salary might create job satisfaction, even policies might create the job satisfaction. But indirectly you are correct when you are considering 2 things simultaneously. One is theory, another one is literature review. Then you are correct, this framework is correct. But if you are a very good researcher, if your intention is to publish from your paper from the top journals, then you should not take salary and policies as a variable, because theory is not saying this thing. Theory is allowing to take only autonomy and promotion, that usually creates the job satisfaction, because your intention is to identify the satisfaction factors, not the dissatisfaction factors. But again, I'm saying that if you consider both theory and literature review, the framework is correct. But if you consider only the theory, then I mean, the reviewer might ask you to change salary and policies as a variable. Okay, I know very well that for the beginners to understand this thing is very difficult. But again, I'm requesting that please, when you will pick a theory and when you will read a literature review, when you will select your variables, we need to be very careful. Otherwise, you cannot get your publications from the top journals. So based on this, theory, we can say that autonomy and promotion create the job satisfaction. Now I have taken here the gender, as a moderator. Okay, just simple thing, as a moderating variable, policies and job satisfaction. In between, I have taken like work-life balance. Okay, work-life balance can be a mediating, but these are the things actually I'm going to discuss in the methodology session. Okay, but I have shown here that how you research variable come from theory and literature review. For this particular slide, if you consider only theory, autonomy and promotion are the right variables, but salary and policy not. But if you consider both theory and literature review, all 4 independent variables are correct. Now, if I go to framework, basically there are 2 types of frameworks, or some of you can say 3 types of framework, like theoretical framework, conceptual framework, or research framework. As earlier I mentioned, there are slight difference between the conceptual framework and the research framework, but I'm not going to discuss in details here. But theoretical framework, as earlier I said, that it will help you to select the appropriate concept or structure variables. You can present it as a figure or not. Okay, here when you are considering the theoretical framework, actually figure or pictorial viewpoint is not mandatory. Just you need to clearly I mean explain the theoretical assumptions. In the research paper, it is called theoretical underpinning or theoretical assumptions. Clearly you need to know the assumptions, and clearly all of your variables should align with your used theory. That's all about the theoretical framework. But when you will pick your variables or constructs from the theory, and you have already operationalized it, that means you have already given the clear idea or clear concept to the readers. Now you can just draw a figure with your used variables. That is called conceptual framework, or we can say research framework. That means conceptual framework or research framework all about your pictorial presentation or present as a figure. So here, to show the pictorial viewpoint or figure is must. Okay, so this, there are simple 2 frameworks. Number another slide, hypothesis and its formulation procedure. You know that hypothesis after the framework, you know that. And one thing I just forgot to let you know, that you can even put the all of the hypotheses, like salary might create job satisfaction, hypothesis 1, hypothesis 2, hypothesis 3, hypothesis 4, all of the things you can just put it with the framework. Okay, so we are allowed it. Then what actually mean hypothesis? Hypothesis is a testable statement or assumption. This is really important. Testable assumption. Okay, we should not assume that are not testable. No, we cannot do it. Okay, so when you will pick your hypothesis, again I'm saying, when you will develop your hypothesis, we need to keep in our mind actually what is theory. Okay, that theory will guide you to formulate a good hypothesis. Some of the researchers also said that yes, apart from the theoretical assumption, you should also take some evidence from the literature, that is called empirical literature. So when you will pick the hypothesis, you need to keep in your mind two things. Number one, theoretical assumption. Number two, empirical evidence. So with the those combination, then only we can formulate a good hypothesis. Okay, that's why it is said that hypothesis must be clear and concise, then testable and measurable. Number three, based on existing knowledge on theory. Again, based on existing knowledge and theory. That means when you will formulate a hypothesis, your theory is really important. You need to digest your theory and the empirical evidence. So based on the theoretical assumption and literature, I mean evidence, then only we can develop a good hypothesis. So everybody we knows that there are two types of hypothesis basically. One is null hypothesis, another one is alternative hypothesis. And some of the people can say directional and non-directional. This is really important as well. You know that some of your PhD supervisor will guide you that please, when you will write your hypothesis, you can put it direction or direction. But some of your supervisor does not like it. They can just suggest you, please do not put the direction. Okay, so your result will guide you the direction. But both are correct. But end of the day, you have to depend on your supervisor, I mean, instruction. But if you submit it to the journal, definitely you need to follow the reviewer's instruction. So just null hypothesis means no relationship, simple thing or effect, which is indicated by H0 or H naught. Alternative hypothesis on positive relationship, basically, or there is a relationship. But come to the point, how we can develop null hypothesis or alternative hypothesis. Who will give you the license that in your research paper or in your thesis that you should use alternative hypothesis, not null hypothesis? Alternatively, null hypothesis, not alternative hypothesis. Though there are two hypotheses, but we have to select one. How? What will be the procedure? Again, I'm saying that in order to formulate that corrected hypothesis, again, in order to take the corrected hypothesis, we must have the clear idea about the theory. Theory will guide you that there is a relationship or there may not be a relationship. All literature review will show you there is a relationship, that means evidence based, or there is no relationship. But some of the times it's like 50-50. Some of the people can say that there is a relationship and there is no relationship. In that case, my suggestion, that types of variable you should take it as a, I mean, third variable or intervening variable. Okay, but it's up to you. But if you're the 50-50%, yes, that positive or negative, you can either positive or negative. But if the most of the earlier researchers said that there is a positive relationship between autonomy and job satisfaction, as a researcher we should take autonomy as an independent variable that has the positive relationship with job satisfaction. So entirely the positive or negative depends on theoretical assumption or earlier evidence from the literature. So again, I'm saying that if anybody wants to formulate the accurate or corrected or appropriate hypothesis, we must have the clear idea regarding the literature review and theory. Otherwise, you will be failure to identify the corrected hypothesis. Then we can say that discussion of the findings. Okay, how you can design that discussion. Okay, fine. After the hypothesis, definitely you will collect the data. Then after the analysis, what you will do? You know that some of the beginner researcher, we will do that. Yes, after completing our analysis part, we directly go to the conclusion. No, we cannot do that. Okay, please don't do that. After getting your results or findings, you should clearly describe the discussion of the findings, actually what the findings are telling, actually what's the meaning of your findings. You know that you should clearly discuss the findings, otherwise your paper will not be accepted from the good journal. Okay, so please don't stop that yes, after completing the analysis, after getting the result, we should directly go to the conclusion. Please don't do that. Please don't do that. Okay. So after getting the result, how will you, I mean, design your discussion part? Just I will show you some tricks. I'm sure that you know it, some of you, but it's a very simple thing. First, to interpret the meaning of your findings, we need to inform clearly actually what's the meaning of our findings. Number two, to compare your findings with the previous studies. That means where is the difference? What actually you have found that is similar to the earlier studies, or is there any differences? And to explain unexpected result, that means if you get that unexpected result like that, you formulated your hypothesis that autonomy might have positive relationship with job satisfaction. Your theory is also suggesting that independent and dependent variable are positively related. Means autonomy creates job satisfaction, but unfortunately you got the opposite result. You received that autonomy does not create any job satisfaction. What will you do, or what will you do? Please don't stop here, and don't be confused, don't be even worried. Okay, you know that as you got an unexpected result or peculiar result, don't worry, just you should look for a good justification why you got the opposite result. Okay, then even you are violating the theory, doesn't matter. Matter is that how you can satisfy the reviewer. Okay, so when you got an unexpected result or opposite result, that usually violates the theory as well as the literature review, doesn't matter. Matter is that how you can give a good justification. You know that some of the renowned researcher, they said that if you get even the unexpected result, there is a high chance to accept your paper from the good journal. Okay, but we have a misconception. If you get like unexpected result, we stop here and try to manipulate the data. Don't do that, please. The result can be, this is not your findings, this is the findings for the respondents, remember it. And if you just manipulate the findings, it is sending a wrong message to the society. Your paper can be read by 5,000 people, 10,000 people. That means 10,000 people is receiving a wrong message only for you. That's the serious violation of ethics. Okay, please, if you get the unexpected result, try to find a good justification. That's my message. Then, to highlight a significance limitation of your research, definitely, and just suggest the direction. Those two parts can be even you are suggesting to put differently, like significance, theoretical significance, or contributions, practical contributions, or managerial contributions. Then limitations or area for future research. But those are the parts of the discussion of the findings. I have just given an example here that the findings indicate that your findings, you can just put it here. Okay, the result is supported, the work of, you should put the name of the authors. Okay, an unexpected outcome was, you should put your unexpected result. Then the potential explanation for this result is, you should give the proper explanation. This study contributes to the understanding of, okay fine, you should give the proper contributions, theoretical contributions and practical contributions. Then future studies are needed. That means you are giving the future direction. Then finally, just as earlier I mentioned that I'll be able to finish like 35 minutes. I mean, I hope that I have been able to. So if you have any sort of questions now or observations, then please ask me.
Thank you, Mr. Right. Can I ask?
Yes, sir, please.
Anything? Yeah, please.
Uh, thank you for your, well explanation. Whatever you presented, it was very
Fukul,
clear.
I cannot hear clearly. Okay, okay,
Oh,
fine.
right now.
Yeah, please.
So, first of all, thank you for your well explained presentation. It was very clear and on the spot. My question is, like there is a control variable and moderate variable. Often I see that in many journals they, synonymously use that either a control variable or moderating variable. Is there any difference between that? And
Okay.
why
Is
they are?
there?
Is there any difference between control
Okay.
variable
Yes.
and moderating
Yes.
variable?
Yes.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
I know, but I know there is a difference. But I see many researchers, they often use almost the same nominal variable, for example, as a I mean,
Okay.
nominal
I
data as
got it. I got your question.
so how do we differentiate in that? I should use it as a control or moderating. I mean, naming.
Okay. Okay. Question was from Fokrul. Okay, Fokrul, I'm calling you Himal. Himal, the main thing is that there is a big, there is a big difference between the moderating and control variable. You know that if your intention is to know that how one variable, let me check it. Any join? Okay, fine. If your third variable or intervening variable is to know the changes of independent and dependent variable. You know that means only for the third variable that can change the direction positively or negatively the independent and dependent variable, then only we should use the moderating variable. And moderating variable can be nominal, even ratio data, or we can say any of the things it can anything. Okay. But you know that basically control variable does not change the relationship between independent and dependent variable. It has only the impact of the outcome variable. Okay, got it?
That's right.
Got it?
Yeah.
That's,
You know,
that's right.
so like I'm just giving an example, then easily you can understand. I'm sure that moderating variable, some of you, almost we are mature, husband and wife. Husband is the dependent variable, wife is the dependent variable. You know that? So now any girlfriend or boyfriend in between them, I'm sure that that will completely negatively change the relationship between independent and dependent variable, husband and wife. That's
Right.
it's called the moderating variable. That means if your intention is to know that which variable is changed, which variable is supposed to change the independent or dependent variable, then only you should use the moderating variable. Okay,
Very
Himal?
good. Yeah,
Yeah.
great.
Got it. And in
Yeah.
that context, what should be the control variable? Like in that example, for example, in
Control
consumer.
variable.
If I
Okay.
take a control
First,
variable in that
okay, first,
relationship.
folklore, we should know actually when control variable. Control variable basically changes the overall impact. For example, independent and dependent variable. Okay, no? Now you see that R square. I know very well that you know the R square. Okay, R square
Yeah.
means effect size. If the effect size is too low, it is suggested less than like less than 10%. Then usually we should, be very worried about the control variable. That means whatever you selected the variables as an independent variables that are not enough. You are thinking that apart from the independent variable, that means name, marital status, age, gender, experiences are more important than even the
Independent.
independent or dependent variable. Then only we should use the control variable when you will get only the less effect size.
Uh-huh. But unfortunately, I have seen a lot of researches. Most of the cases, I should say, that they are using, control variable, but the effect size is substantial.
Too high. I know, substantial and too high. Yes.
Yeah, but why? Then why then? And in
That's why
good terms, that was
that's why I said that I also received some of my papers review from the reviewers that you should use the control variable. Then I strongly, give the opinion that why I should use the control variable, because my effect size is, very good and substantial. So I should that we should not use the control variable. Then I also put some of the references that these are the top class journals. Even you can see they are not using the control variables because their effect size is very good. Then they accepted it. They are not bothered about the control variable.
uh-huh. I understand. And I have another question, if you allow.
Yeah, please.
So, some theories are very straightforward. two-factor theory, there are some definite factors like variables that contributing to the job satisfaction. So we exactly can use that variables. But in some theories, like some theories are they are just explaining the idea. So from there, how could we, I mean, take the variables that, I mean, we know that variables should come from either theory or either from literature. But if we want to have the variables from the theory, and how we can we conceptualize the variable from the conceptualized theory?
Yes.
Where is
I
mean,
yes.
There is no definite like two-factor theory. I mean, definite variables are not there or factors mentioning.
Yeah,
Just,
I know. I got your, yeah, I got your point, Shimal. I got your point. Like, I wanted to give an example of like COR theory, conservation of resources theory. Am I correct? I'm sure
yeah.
that in the conservation of resources theory, I mean, it will not say that work-life balance or work-family support is like an resources. Is Definitely these two things are not mentioned in the conservation of resource theory, but we know from the earlier literature that work family balance or work life balance, work family supports are like situational resources. So look at the word situational resources. So as you already proved that as these are the situational resources which are related to conservation of resources theory, that are enough to take that the variables from the conservation of resources theory. It is not mandatory that exact variables like that should come from the theory. Like I said, autonomy, but it may happen that some of the books it is written work itself. Correct. Work itself and autonomy is the similar words. Then we can select the job Hasbach two factors theory. Then it is not mandatory the similar words, similar things should come from the theory, but the, I mean, very close, or if you think that this concept we can relate to the theory with the necessary justification, then we can take it as a variable from that particular theory.
I understand. Can we partially take adapted a theory partially, like
Yes,
a
yes,
theory?
you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I will just customize the other things from the literature
Yes.
for the I understand. Thank you for your clear explanation.
Okay. Any of the
Samuel, Professor Samuel.
Yes,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Dr. Mijan,
yeah, please, my friend.
well done, well done, well done. I'm proud of you. However, I have a question here under the
please.
discussion of findings.
Yes.
You know, in discussing our findings, there are procedures to be followed, like you have said. But I want to ask for when and how the issue of theory comes in. Because if you do not back up your findings with theory, that portion of the discussion is not yet complete.
I know, brother. I know that someone can raise the issue. Okay. Yes, this is really an important part. When you will, I mean, say that my findings is consisting with, for example, like Samuel, okay, like Imtiaz, or like Himel or Rahman, okay. But apart from that, you also need to clearly mention that yes, our findings is the consistent with the theoretical assumption. You should put the two things together, that your finding is consistent with the earlier researcher plus the theoretical assumption. Okay, otherwise it's not
Very
complete.
good.
That's the things actually I did
Very,
not mention in the slide.
that's right. That's
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you
I will
very
update
much.
the slide. Yeah, I
God
will
bless
update
you.
the slide.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Professor Shahabuddin, Dr. Shahabuddin, my brother, are you there? Can you hear us?
You have raised your hand.
Brother Shahabuddin, Professor Shahabuddin from USTC.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. Walaikum assalam, bhai.
Walaikum assalam warahmatullah. Thank you very much, Dr. Mizanur Rahman, for your nice presentation. I always enjoy your sessions. Today, we also enjoy Very good session, Alhamdulillah. And I'm seeing my old friend Samuel. He joined from Nigeria. How are you, Samuel? My
Fine,
friend.
fine. Shabuddin, fine.
Thank
Salam
you,
alaikum.
thank you. Okay, I have just one questions. Theoretical underpinnings and the theoretical framework. What are the basic difference? Theoretical underpinnings and theoretical framework. Isn't it
Okay,
only?
fine.
Okay, doctor.
Okay, I got your question, brother. Uh, Actually, there is no basic difference between the theoretical. Just 1 minute. 1 minute. Okay, what actually I wanted to say, there is no big differences between the theoretical framework and theoretical underpinning. You know that I'm sure that you will not get any top paper like theoretical framework. Every paper it has written like conceptual framework. You know, like theoretical framework means the theoretical underpinning. You know that how you are giving, I mean, describing the assumptions and trying to relate your variables to the theory. That's all about theoretical framework for my understanding, or we can say theoretical underpinning.
Yeah, great.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Brother Imtiaz, you can raise your question. You can ask the question to the speaker.
Assalamu alaikum to all. It's a nice pleasure to meet all my senior brothers and the mentors here, Dr. Mijan, Dr. Shahuddin, Brother Samuel. So, because they are my mentors and I learned a lot from them during our UPM journey. So, back to my questions. Okay. So I have questions regarding nowadays the journals, editors, they are asking about which is the common method bias. To treat the common method bias, they're asking to add the separated variables, which is the marker variables. So from my understanding and from my reading, I found that there are some pre-procedures and post-procedures. So in the pre-procedures, we can include some additional scale which are completely unrelated to the framework or variables. But my question is, if we already collected data, so what would be our possible solution to treat this common method bias with using the marker variable rather than just saying in the limitation? Is there any
Okay.
way?
Okay, I clearly understand, Imtiaz. The same question basically few days back, one of the renowned researchers came to my school. How, because this is the serious problem. Recently, I also, I mean, received the same corrections from my different papers, and it's actually, this is very disgusting as well as to me. Then I also asked to him as well, but he also suggested me that yes, there are some statistical procedures, whatever you see at the CMB methods or some of the things we can adopt with it. At the same time, he also suggested me that you said that two stages data collection, which is very time consuming. You know that at the same time, one of the procedures he also said that yes, first actually we are putting here the demographic variable in the first stage, but he also suggested that do not put the demographic variable in the first stage, rather like putting the independent variable and dependent variable. Then in the second stage, then collect the demographic nature. Still, it's a very difficult task for me. But end of the day, Imtiaz, I'm still working that is there any, I mean, easy solution that how we can avoid the common method variance. And during the methodology section, definitely I will try to find out a best solution. Then I'm sure that in the fourth or fifth session, I'm sure that I will be able to let you know about a best solution how we can avoid the common method variance. Because few days back, one of my recent papers, I also get the same corrections like how you avoid the common method variance. Then I
Yeah,
really study.
yeah,
I've started to work on it.
yeah.
It's a common practice now, common
Yeah,
method variance.
interestingly, I did a lot of papers, those who are using the two stages
Yes, data
method
collection. Yes,
collection. But although they are stating in the methodology that they are collected data in two stages, but they didn't report that to data set. And then they are not
yes.
clearly, explicitly explain that how they merge this data or similar
Yes,
data.
yes.
Okay, so there are
And you know that
they're just stating.
you know that if you collect the data from the two stages, some of the reviewers are not happy even to that. Even you know that they might ask you that how is possible to get the same respondent and why it is not like longitudinal research or like cross-sectional research. Then another issue. Then I'm looking for a solution. Inshallah, hopefully that I will be able to find out.
The expectations are getting higher. The BIF and then single Harman factors, they are not sufficient to treat
That's
the common
sufficient.
method bias. Yeah. Okay.
Mizan, I have a reciprocal question regarding this issue. If you find one of the reviewers, he or she asked or raised this issue, and what about the other reviewers? What exactly the other reviewers said the opposite of this? I mean, what should we do now?
Again,
I mean,
follow.
if you get the reviewers, one of the reviewers comment regarding this, I mean, common method variance CMV using,
Yeah.
and if he or she suggests to go for longitudinal research or change the questionnaire or collect the data again, and other reviewers, his or her opinion is they now what you have submitted, this is okay. So what should we do then?
Okay, good question. Good question. Same of the opinion actually I got from one of the top journals. You know that uh, that you know that what strategically I do. One of the reviewers said that yes, as you said in the limitations that due to the time limitations or something, it's like the cross-sectional research. But he gave me the correction that I'm giving you the extra 6 months and do it like longitudinal research. You know that, and he's also not happy regarding my contribution parts. But you know that I politely approached to that reviewer, but you cannot ignore their comments. Remember it. I politely, I mean, just say good justification so that they can happy. But as other two reviewers already got the acceptance, I think I'm sure that editor will not, reject your paper. Okay, just you know that for my case, they did not. I reject my paper. Even they did not care the first reviewer report because it's a very common issue. Why a reviewer can suggest that yes, now I'm giving you the 6 months to 7 months and just focusing on the longitudinal research. It's not possible for a researcher. Am I correct? Because how can I get the same respondents over a period of time? Then I just politely wrote the first reviewers, but second and third reviewers accepted, but I got the acceptance from the editor. Okay. So
Okay,
it's
thank
all
you so
about
much.
how you can satisfy that. I mean, how can I write you the response letter?
Thank you so much. Brother Imtiaz, do you have any question or anything to say to the speaker? If
I
not,
think
then we should
Samuel
move on.
have
Yeah,
some
thank you so
questions.
much for everything.
Okay. Brother Mahfuzur Rahman, are you there? Can you hear us? You can ask the question. You raised your hand.
Yes, brother. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Mizanur Rahman, brother. Here I have two questions just for knowing some things. Like you said that the inductive research, the follow the approach to build the theory. But my question is that the inductive research or qualitative research is necessary. Does it necessary to follow the any grounded theory or only the just building a theory? And
No, you
second,
know that in inductive approach, there are basically 6 approaches. Whatever you are saying that grounded theory is one of the things, but actually we are not working on on a topic like the grounded theory. But if you are like a social science researcher and if you wanted to first select whether it is inductive or deductive, then if it is inductive, our fundamental task is to establish a concept or to build a theory. Okay, that's the main thing. But if you wanted to work on a grounded theory, actually I'm not so expert on that particular grounded theory. Okay, because my research area is not like qualitative nature. But yes, if you are an inductive researcher, definitely your first intention is that to develop a theory or to develop a concept. But when we should go for the inductive research, if the concept is contemporary new and we are struggling to uh, align with an existing theory, but your intention is to establish the concept by asking two questions like why and how, then we should only select the inductive research. But still there are some procedures or classification of inductive research, like 5 or 6 classification. I'm sure that when I will go for the methodology part, I'm sure you will get your answer.
Thank you, brother. Sometimes I saw that the some researchers are the follow the theory to build the thematic analysis in qualitative research.
Yes.
And the second question is like, you said that in the research findings and interpretation sections, that if you get some like unexpected results that doesn't tested our hypothesis, then we should give some like justifications. In case of justification, if you don't find any relevant literature, how how do you approach it? How do you face this problem? How do
Okay,
you face it?
I got your questions. I got your questions. Just I'm giving an example. Then I'm sure that you will be able to get your answer. Few days back, I submitted one of my papers in a good conference at the good journals. So my topic was like digital financial literacy and well-being. We are sure that we are digital financial literate people, that means there is a good chance to be well-being in future. This is a common issue. Theory is also saying that thing, TPB theory is also saying that thing, TAM model is also saying that thing. Almost all of the earlier people, almost all of the researcher said the same things, but we got the opposite things. You know that unfortunately we got, there is no relationship between digital financial literacy and well-being in case of us. Okay, so we were struggling to find out the justification. Then I tried to find out a justification. Then I find that we collected the data from the students, bachelor level students. You know that bachelor level students are not more or less focused on the future well-being. They are very
Yes.
worried about their short-term financing. There are two types of financing, short-term and long-term. So students are not concerning about the long-term financing, because well-being is the long-term issue. Okay, now come to the point. I have just given a justification, but it is not essential that you have to find out supporting literature if your result is totally unexpected, because this is one of your contributions. Now people will cite you in future, people will cite your peculiar result or unexpected result, but it is always suggested that if it is possible, then only you can give some literature support. If not possible, your justification are enough.
Yes. Thank you, brother. Understand.
Anything?
Will
Thank
you
you.
give the slides?
Professor Samuel, are you there? You raised your hand.
Yes, please. Yes, I'm here. I'm still
Yeah,
here.
long time waiting. Yeah.
How are you? How is Bangladesh today? Hello?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It's good. Alhamdulillah. It's good. Everything is well.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'm happy to hear your voice.
Okay.
Only that you have forgotten me in Africa here.
Okay, Polash,
Bhushan bhai,
anything?
will
Yeah.
we get the slides? I mean, it's sometimes better
Yeah,
to read.
Himal, I'm working. I'm just preparing one of my logo in the separate logo for one of my platform. That's why after putting it, then I will share it. Okay,
Okay,
inshallah,
got it.
I will
And
share
in the
it in
meantime,
the.
I just recall another question, if you allow.
Okay.
I mean, you said that for formulating hypothesis,
Yes.
usually we formulate hypothesis from the literature, but I mean we can do it from the theory as well.
Yes.
But when we should use the theory exactly?
Okay. Theory means, you say that theory means, just I'm giving an example
To
for again
formulate hypothesis.
Hasbach two-factor theory. First, Hasbach two-factor theory already said satisfaction and autonomy. Remember it. They have mentioned some of the drivers or factors. Am I correct, Rinal? So all of the factors are pre-tested. Remember it, because one of the assumptions of theory is a lot of times have been pre-tested. That's why theory is an well-established concept. So all of the drivers already pre-tested, means autonomy has positive relationship with satisfaction, work itself is the positive relation with satisfaction, but they will not give you the direct, just will not directly say it's a hypothesis. We need to clearly understand whatever the drivers mentions in the theory, it is well accepted, well established, well justified, lot of times have been tested. That's why those are the factors create the job satisfaction. That's all about hypothesis. But you need now the literature support.
I mean, if like I use a two-factor theory, for example, for testing in a research. So if I know there is a straightforward relationship that that's explained in the theory. So so to formulate the hypothesis, should we just only mention that in that theory it's clearly a positive relationship between pay and satisfaction, and then we just mention some related
related or relevant literature. Yes, relevant literature.
And that's it, right?
That's it.
And this is how we may formulate a hypothesis. Without theory, we can only formulate hypothesis from the literature. That we do even, right?
Again, Himal.
I mean, not necessarily that every time we should only follow the theory to formulate the hypotheses. Sometimes literature is enough to formulate the hypothesis.
Some of the times, yes, of the times literatures are enough. Yes, definitely, that's called the evidence-based or empirical literature. Okay, most of the time we are doing. But few days back, the renowned researcher came to our school and he suggested, please don't do that. Don't only depend on the empirical findings. Apart from the empirical findings, if you can relate your hypothesis with the theory, that will give you some positive and more appropriate justification to select an appropriate theory. Hypothesis.
So by where to report that
in the hypothesis part, you know that in the hypothesis part, because I'm sure that when you are reading that theoretical underpinning, I'm sure that you are explaining the assumptions clearly. Am I correct, Emil? Yes. After that, remember it. After that, you are just giving some evidence to formulate a hypothesis. That means indirectly we are doing the two things simultaneously, but without reporting it correctly. Okay, his suggestion is like, yes, after conceptualization, you should also clear that this theory is saying that yes, these factors has the clear relationship with this thing, and these are the also proved by the earlier researcher like Himmel or some of the things. Then only you can formulate a hypothesis. It can be positive hypothesis, it can be negative hypothesis.
Theory is always, confuse me, in many ways, by the way.
I know.
Sometimes, like, I found like 2-3 theories that are very much relevant to my research. But sometimes they said, "Oh, you are just." Sometimes I mention 2-3 theories simultaneously for explaining my research. But sometimes they said, "No, it's not necessary. It's just repetition."
That's repetitive. Yes, I know.
But I always, I will have the indecision that what theory should I drop or what should I take?
I can understand your question, because the same question I also asked. You know that his suggestion is like that. Please, one thing can be described by 2 to 3, 4 theories. Am I correct? Like job satisfaction. We are taking about Hasbach two-factor theory. Some of the can say the JDR theory. Am I correct? It can be happen. But you should clearly explain why you are selecting this theory and why these variables are connected with theory. Why not JDR theory? That's not your big concern. Am I correct? But that's not. But you should always give the proper justification. Though there are a lot of theories, but after explaining or after reading all of the things, we came to understand that focusing on my variables mostly connected with that particular theory. That's why we have selected this theory out of a theory. Clear? Then it will be easier. it will be easier for the reviewers. They will not, because if you use 2 to 3 theories in the same research, I'm sure that reviewer will give you the corrections. They will say that you are repeating the same thing, and just it's a redundancy problem.
Yeah, I got. Right. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, yeah.
And Mijan, can I add something?
Yeah, please.
Yes, concerning what the last speaker was talking about, you know, when you look at the theories very well, at the bottom of it, fundamentally, those indicators, those elements that you want to use to proxy your variable, they are embedded in the theory. Meanwhile, by the time you get to your discussion of findings, you are trying to relate two variables, and you must use the theory to be able to justify. So if you are not picking on the appropriate theory that had highlighted those indicators or those proxies that you have used for the variables, you may not be able to justify the usage of that theory effectively.
Yes, correct.
That's my submission.
Yes. Okay, Himal, I think Samuel has already explained very clearly as well.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so my dear friends, do you have any question regarding this issue? I mean, today's topic. And Bhaiya, brother, I would like to add one last thing regarding the last speaker questions and where to report. I must say, from my experience and observation, and it's necessary to add and report the theoretical overview on the discussion part. Brother, what do you think? A little.
Theoretical? Yeah, plus definitely. You know that you should also clearly explain that your findings is related to theoretical assumption or not in the discussion part carefully. Not only that, when you will design your contribution or, I mean, implication part, definitely if you use theory earlier, there will be the two parts. Number one, theoretical contributions. Number two, practical contributions. You know that some of the top journals, they will not even bother regarding the practical contributions. You know that they will bother only the theoretical contributions, because they will assume that if theoretically, that means if your contributions theoretically sound, automatically practically it will be good. That's why definitely during the discussion part, you should clearly explain your findings with the theoretical, I mean, assumptions. Otherwise, very difficult.
Out of the theory. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, is there any observation, opinion, or anything to ask to the speaker?
Just I wanted to finish with a compliment. I have been, I mean, Mizan Bhai is known for me. I mean, we have been know each other for like many years. So he's one of the best, I mean, in research understanding, to my knowledge. I mean, I attended with a lot of research sessions here in home and abroad. But I mean, Mizan Bhai is one of the best in understanding the things. Thank you.
Thank you, Himal. Thank you so much.
Yes. Let me also lend my voice, just going by the way of the last speaker, Mijan. You have been a source of inspiration to so many people, and I want you to continue in that direction. You have helped a lot of people not knowing. A lot of people have cited your work, and they are willing to come physically in contact with you. I think one of the things that you can also do to be able to allow people to catch up with you is not only to organize trainings like this. You can also come up with ways or means by which people can, get over whatever their shortcomings are. There are a lot of people that have issues with how to start. Because
Yes.
if the beginning is faulty, the end is going to be terrible. Hello?
Yeah.
Are you with me?
Yeah. Thank you, friend, for your good suggestion.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Inshallah,
Yeah.
in the future sessions. Yeah.
And again, I want to suggest that, knowledge is universal. And
Yes.
it will be a good thing if, the way we have been doing it, we can also go the collaborative way, such that, opinions can also be sourced from the other parts of the world. And people can now be able to further ventilate what you have or what contributions you have to make to their progress. Those are my contributions. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, friend. Thank you so much.
Hello, Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah.
It's me,
Yeah.
Saimum. How are you,
Yeah.
brother?
Yeah, I'm fine, brother. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I was just listening
Yeah.
to your presentation. It has been really
Thank you so
excellent.
much.
And I want to just echo with my last other speakers, that you have been doing really great and keep it up. Thank you,
Yeah.
brother.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
brother. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, Palash, I think
brother,
we have
maybe
already done.
yeah. And my request is to the speaker is that, brother, don't too late for the next session and next class, because if you take huge time, definitely we'll lose everything from our mind. So
Okay.
if it is possible to arrange the next session as soon as possible, it will be better for us. Thank
Okay.
you.
Inshallah. Inshallah. I will try. Inshallah. Okay. Inshallah.
Inshallah. So for
Okay.
today's
Thank
session,
you.
Bhaiya, if you have no message, then we can finish, inshallah.
Okay. Inshallah. So thank you. See you in the next session. Assalamu alaikum and good
All right.
evening. All right.